This stupidly simple strategy is what built my bankroll, and it's what gets me paid every single month. It's not flashy, it's not complicated, but it's clean, repeatable, and stupidly effective. In this video, I'm gonna break it down step by step, and instead of just talking theory, we're gonna break down a couple of case studies as well. That way you can see exactly how it works in a live market situation. And that's why this video matters. I'm not holding back any sauce. You're gonna see the actual process I use every day. And if you copy it, track it, and practice it, you'll build your own edge over time. And that's the goal. So who am I? I've been doing this ever since I was 18, and I just turned 22, so it's a little over 3 years. I'm completely financially free. I just bought my dream car. I got an AP this summer. I bought my dad a Cartier. I've been able to take my family on vacations, travel the world. However, what's more important to me than any of those things is the fact I've made over $1.5 million for the sports betting community since I've started doing my content. And I've never even broken down my strategy in a video like this before. So let's get right into this. The very first thing I want you to do is think of yourself as a trader more than you would a gambler. Throughout this, I'll be making several parallels to trading stocks, and that's where I got my start. So it's where I pull a lot of my philosophies and strategies. In stocks, we buy mispriced assets that we think are gonna go up or down. But in sports betting, and specifically props, we buy when the true probability is greater than the implied probability. Meaning you're not picking if a player is gonna go off or not, but you're picking, are they gonna do better than the book prices them? Most people approach betting like it's a lottery ticket. They log in, pick a couple legs, and pray, and that's just gambling. However, traders think differently. Our daily objective is not to make money. Our job is to accurately price a player outcome better than the book does. And we only pull the trigger when the odds are in our favor. If you do that consistently, money becomes a side effect. Profit is just the result of accuracy repeated 1,000 times. The actual system is incredibly simple. We establish a game bias, and that is where we discover the environment of the game. We mark out our key numbers, our lines throughout the day. We wait for our confluences, and those are going to be stats and market tells. Then we're going to confirm with triggers, execute, actually place the bet, and the last step is managing our bankroll, which is very, very important as a sports bettor. I'm going to break down each one of these, and then I'll show you 2 case studies at the end, just to show you exactly how it works. So step 1, we are establishing our game bias, and that is going to be the environment of the day. Before I even touch a line, you have to map out the environment. So this is things like the spread and the total. Does the game project to be fast-paced, slow, high-scoring, low-scoring? Then the matchup. Is this a defense run funnel? Heavy zone coverage? Do they give up certain stat types a lot? And then we go into roll and usage. What a player's snap percent is, how many routes run, minutes played. This can be different things for different sports. Then we go into the schedule and context, and that's stuff like weather. So is it a windy park in MLB? Is it a snow game? Is it a short rest game? Is it a back-to-back game in the NBA? And the last but least important thing is the market baseline. And that simply means where did the line open at and where is it today? If Achan's rush line was 75.5 this morning, and now later in the day he's at 79.5, the consensus is they think he's going to do better, obviously. However, if you skip this step, you are going in completely blind and you have no context whether a number is strong, weak, or completely priced. This is also a very easy step, but people don't care about it, so they skip over it. And this is where a lot of money's made. So when you have a good matchup, like we just identified in the last step, the next thing to do is keep an eye on the numbers. Number 1 is the opening line. Normally that's set overnight, and for different sports, this obviously comes out at different times. NBA is a little different. It doesn't come out very early, and sometimes it'll come out middle of the day. Then you have the morning line, and that's where after the projections and the first steam hits, that's where the line kind of settles at. And then you have what I call the pre-news pivot, which is right before injury reports and lineup comes out. And then you have the late line, which is, an hour to 10 minutes before the game actually starts. This is a less important step, but it will help you in the long run if you can keep an eye on these levels, and any edge helps. So now we get into steps 3 and 4, and these are by far the most important. Again, at the end, I'll show you exactly how to apply these to a real situation, but before that, we have to know what they actually mean. So number 1, we have confluences. These are things like roll stability. Has this guy's usage been consistent lately? Opponent profile. Does this defense leak to that exact stat? Correlated markets, alt lines, or other books that are shaded the same way, and closing line value, which simply means does your ideal number beat the book's closing line? And those are what show you a good bet from a bad bet. And once you have a good bet, you wait for your triggers. And triggers are going to be things like news, so injury reports, this player's going to be in, this player's going to be out, snap limits, pitch counts, lineup changes, anything that affects the game. Then there's something called steam, where multiple books move one way and one lags behind. And you have projection delta too. In another video, I'll teach you guys how to make your own models. And that's where this comes into play, where if your model projects one thing and the book projects another thing, the difference between those, if positive, is your edge. And then finally, the spread and the total shift, meaning your environment just changed. So you have to keep an eye on that again. So if we want to put it together, we've established our game environment. We found a good player. We wait for 2 or 3 confluences that help them out. And we have a trigger, like a news thing or a player, oh, this player's going to be out. That means he gets way more snap share, something like that. And that would be a good bet. Then we get into step 5 and 6. This is where we actually place the bet. Our execution is boring, but that's exactly why that it works. The first thing you do is line line shop. Make sure you're checking other books to see where their lines are at and see if you get a better price or a better deal on the line that you want. Then you're gonna size your bet. In betting, we go by units, and 1 unit is typically 1 to 2% of your total bankroll. I typically have around $100,000 in my betting account, so 1 unit for me would be 1 to 2 grand. On a bet, I would put anywhere from 0.5 to 1.5 units, depending on how good of a deal it is. I never risk more than 2% in one day, which is 2 grand. And for management, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can hedge your bets, you can ladder it with different alt lines, you can pass on a bet if you don't want to take it, and those are mostly things that you would do after you place a bet. So say you place a really good bet and you can't cash out anymore, some other news comes out and your whole game environment shifts. You could hedge that bet by placing something else in the direction of the new game script or anything to take risk off of your bet that you had just placed. And that's really only if you can't get it back and cash back out again. But typically I'm not placing super early bets unless I see a really good line. Most of the time I'm waiting very close to the game. So let's jump into our first case study here. We have an NFL wide receiver receptions over 5.5. For our bias, we have a high total game. They're a slight underdog, so more passing, zone heavy defense, quarterback gets the ball out quick, and our key numbers are we opened at 4.5 at plus money odds. Then in the morning we were about 5.5 with minus 110, and now later it is 5.5 still, but minus 125, 130. For our confluences, 92% routes in his last 3, and his slot rate is up big time versus zone, which again, zone heavy defense. The opponent ranks bottom 8 in catch rate allowed to slot, and 2 other books have already moved to over under 6.5. Already this is looking like an amazing ideal bet, but again, we want to wait for our triggers. In this case, wide receiver 2 is ruled out. It's an obvious take. His target share is going to jump like crazy, and for the execution, I would take this at 1 to 2 units on the best odds that you can find for over 5.5. So our key level got touched, we had our news trigger, we had usage, matchup confluences, and we executed and we protected our original odds at that minus 115. So for our case study 2, let's look at an MLB example. Here we have pitcher strikeouts under 6.5. For our bias, it's a windy part and it suppresses strikeouts via early contact. Also, the umpire has a lower strikeout rate. For key numbers, we opened at 6.5, then the morning held, and we're still at 6.5, but the total now dropped by 0.5 runs. For our confluences, our pitcher's recent velocity is down by 0.8 miles per hour, and his slider whiff percent is down big time. And our opponent is top 10 in Z contact and K percent in the last 30 days. 2 books are shading this at 6.5. Again, we have 2 other books that move this to 6.5 at plus 110, and our book's still at minus 105. And the trigger is our opponent lineup comes out, and they have a contact heavy top 6, plus with a low chase percent. So our execution is 1 unit at under 6.5 for minus 105 odds. Again, key level touch, news trigger, usage and matchup confluences, execute, money. So here's the mistake that everyone makes. They watch one video and they start firing real money the very next day. You have to start by tracking everything on paper. As sports bettors, we don't have as many options as someone learning to day trade, as there are very limited tools available. That means sometimes we have to go back to the old pen and paper. So what I want you to do is start recording your bets as you make them and track everything. Don't put real money on it. Simply write down the odds and if you would have won or lost. At first, you're definitely going to struggle, but after a few weeks, you'll start seeing those patterns and you'll start making better bets. I want you to write down your pre-bet thesis, so why you placed the bet, your confluences triggered, everything that happened. Then after the game, review it. Was your edge real? Were you right? And did your number close well, or did you barely win? Also, you want to note your emotions here. Did you chase a loss? Did you force a play? Be completely honest with yourself. Now keep tracking this until on paper you're consistently profitable. If your numbers are regularly beating the books, you're ready for real money. Before you go out and try this, I want to go over a couple quick mistakes. These are the real killers. One is forcing action on every game. You don't want to bet every game. You don't have to bet every game. And if you don't bet every game, you leave yourself way more time to research and find better bets. Also, you can't watch all the games at once. Do you want to bet on a game and not watch it? Number 2 is ignoring your late news. So if something comes out that is not in favor of what you bet on and you've already placed your bet, either cash out or hedge the under on your play in order to reduce the risk on that original play. Another thing you can easily do is overexpose yourself to primetime overs just because they're fun. It gets all of us, but as long as you're not betting serious money, you'll be fine. Then you don't want to chase steam. If you see a bunch of books moving and one lags behind, it doesn't mean you want to take that bet. You have to wait for everything else. You also always want to line shop. By far, my favorite book is Chalkboard, but I still line shop on other books. And finally, unit creep. You do not want to start betting with more than you're willing to lose. Keep your risk management good. Don't be betting with more than 2% of your total bankroll every day, or at least every bet. And if you're winning a lot or losing a lot, sometimes that gets hard because you think, oh my gosh, I could make this money back, or I could be making more money. And at the end of the day, this game rewards boring. You're not going to get paid for excitement. You get paid for boring, repeatable accuracy. The excitement comes from you watching the game and watching you win money. I make thousands of dollars watching sports every night with my friends and family, and it's given me financial freedom. That's where my excitement comes from. But the actual strategy and philosophy is boring. boring. You want to pass on a lot of bets. You want to scale very slowly. And that's how you're going to build bankroll that compounds over time instead of just blowing an account. This video was a ton of fun to make. And if you guys found this valuable, please leave a comment below and I will dive into any topic you want to know about sports betting. I'm going to start posting recaps and a couple of live market reads for you guys to follow along. I'll leave a couple of links in the description for a couple of the books that I use the most. They all have their own free thing that you get for signing up as a new user. And it also supports me. And if you want to stay up to date, hit that subscribe button. Love you guys. Peace.